The Monte Carlo Masquerade Part 2. Chapter 4 Whispers behind the velvet curtain. It began with a single photo. One grainy shot. Snapped under the harsh fluorescence of the dressing room hallway. Juliette, mid-change, ballet bodice peeled down to her waist, sweat beading at her collarbone. 1-point shoe off. Hair mussed. Eyes cast downward as she reached for her robe. She wasn't posing. She wasn't performing. She was caught, vulnerable, unaware. And it went viral before the sun rose. The Red Mask Gala ended just before 3 a.m. By 7:15, Juliette's name was trending across the European tabloid sphere. By 8 o'clock, Monaco's glossy morning shows were running panel discussions. Who is Juliette Moreau? Rising ballet star or Billionaire's decoy? Why was an unvetted performer at Stefan Mercier's table the same night the casino ledger went missing? Photos accompanied every headline. Some professional, from her performances, but most weren't. They were backstage candids. Intimate, private. Captured over the last several weeks by someone with unrestricted access. A shot of her drinking tea, barefoot in rehearsal tights. One of her laughing with a costumer. Another, too close, of her slipping through the side door of the casino theater entrance late one night. Taken alone, they were harmless. Strung together, curated with malicious intent. They whispered a different story. The blog posts bloomed like rot. Purple circle Juliette Moreau, the Billionaire's ballerina. Large red circle a dancer with secrets, was she planted at the gala? Yellow circle inside job, Stefan's mysterious date and the vanished ledger. Anonymous sources emerged from the ether, fake insiders with fabricated quotes, all reinforcing the same implication. That Juliette hadn't fallen into Stefan's arms by accident. That she hadn't been invited but embedded. That this wasn't a performance. It was a heist. Juliette stood in the mirror-lit corridor behind the casino theater, surrounded by costumers who now refused to meet her eye. Her locker had been emptied by someone, her spare point shoes missing, her nameplate gone. Her phone vibrated in her hand. Again. And again. A flood of notifications. Social media exploding with edits, side-by-side comparisons. Every picture of her now came with fire emojis, snake emojis, eye emojis. Thousands of strangers choosing sides in a story they didn't understand. What did you do, Juliette? That was the text that hit her hardest. Not from the public. But from Sophie, her closest friend in the corps. The one who used to stretch with her before curtain call, who brought her almond croissants before rehearsal, who knew about her old apartment in Marseille and the peeling paint and the nights she cried alone. Now, Sophie wasn't answering her calls. No one was. Stefan had said nothing since the night before. He'd offered her a ride home after the gala, and she, stunned, dazed, half in shock, had accepted. The car had smelled like leather and bergamot. She hadn't spoken. Neither had he. Now, as the world crumbled around her name, she sat in his palatial Monte Carlo estate, in a guest suite bigger than her childhood home, her suitcase untouched at her feet. And he still wasn't talking. Juliette stormed into the corridor, barefoot again, robe clutched around her. Where is he? The butler blinked at her. In the study. She didn't knock. She didn't care. The study doors opened, and Juliette marched in, fury and panic twisting inside her like a storm. I need to know who took those photos. Stefan didn't look up right away. He sat behind a grand desk, phone to his ear, eyes narrowed on a laptop screen. "No," he said calmly. "Keep the footage sealed until I say otherwise." "Yes. Especially locker wing C." He hung up. Then looked at her. "The world thinks you're guilty," he said. "And right now, they're not wrong to wonder." Juliette's hands clenched. "I didn't take that ledger. Someone made it look like you did. So help me clear my name." A pause. "Then, I am." He turned the laptop toward her. The screen showed security footage, flickering grainy black and white. It was her, walking down the east corridor backstage. Alone. The timestamp read 11:38 p.m. 10 minutes before the ledger was reported missing. She remembered that walk. She'd gone to find her missing point ribbons. She'd taken a wrong turn. But now, the narrative was already written. "That doesn't prove anything," she whispered. "It doesn't have to," Stefan replied. "Not to the public. Just enough to plant doubt." He stood. "This isn't about the ledger anymore. It's about reputation. Control. And right now, someone is trying to erase you with whispers." "Then say something." "Not yet." "Why not?" Stefan stepped closer, gaze unreadable. "Because the person who leaked those photos is still in this building." And with that, the velvet curtain finally fell, not on a stage, but on Juliette's belief that this could still be fixed quietly. Someone had come for her. Someone with access. With motive. With the kind of precision only insiders possessed. She didn't just need to defend her innocence. She needed to find out who wanted her ruined. And why. Chapter 5. Stefan's cold smile. Juliette stood at the massive glass window of Stefan Mercier's private penthouse, looking down at the Côte d'Azur as it gleamed like liquid sapphire beneath a sky too perfect to be real. She hadn't slept. The headlines hadn't died down. The photos were still circulating, her name still trending, not for her dancing, not for her artistry, but for what she might have stolen. And yet here she was, barefoot again, wrapped in a borrowed silk robe, in a place where no one belonged unless they had a net worth with more commas than years alive. Behind her, a bell chimed, soft and low. "He'll see you now." It was the housekeeper's voice, gentle but without warmth. She gestured toward a pair of wide oak doors that looked like they belonged in a royal palace, not a modern glass and marble sky tower. Juliette didn't move. She stared at the doors for a long time. Then pushed them open. Stefan was already seated at a table set for two. Sunlight streamed in through panoramic windows, catching the crystal glassware and casting rainbows across the polished floors. There was a spread waiting, ripe fruit, miniature croissants, hand-rolled butter, quail eggs on toast points dusted with truffle. Champagne already uncorked. Juliette blinked. "Is this brunch?" she asked softly, "or a trap?" Stefan looked up, and for the briefest of moments, something flickered behind his expression. A smile. Not warm. Not mocking. But something else. Controlled. Choreographed. Cold. "Do you think I poison my guests, Juliette?" She didn't sit. "I think you serve questions dressed up as hospitality." Eventually, she did take the seat across from him. Not because she wanted to, but because standing felt like losing ground. She picked up a strawberry from the silver dish but didn't eat it. "So what is this?" she asked. A gesture. An apology. "It's brunch. You leaked those photos." Stefan met her gaze, not flinching. No. But you didn't stop them. A beat. He sipped his espresso. You assume I'm omnipotent, Juliette. That's flattering. You're Stefan Mercier. You control everything. Another flicker of a smile. That's not true. Then tell me who did it. He placed his cup down gently, leaned forward. I will. In time. I don't have time. You have me. And that's better. Juliette sat back. Her skin prickled. The sunlight was too warm. The food too beautiful. Nothing in this penthouse felt real, except the way her pulse pounded in her throat. Stefan, for his part, was perfectly calm. Every movement was elegant. Measured. He cut into a piece of toast with the precision of a man who'd never had to rush in his life. You're not here to be punished, he said. You're here to be understood. Understood, she repeated. I'm being dissected like a suspect. You are a suspect. Publicly. Not by me. He looked at her again. Harder, this time. If I thought you were guilty, you wouldn't be here. Then why am I? Because someone wanted you at the center of this. And I'm trying to figure out why. A long silence stretched between them. The city shimmered below, yachts like teeth in the harbor, red Ferraris winding along the cliffs. Somewhere out there, the entire world thought she was a thief. A seductress. A mask behind a scandal. But here, in this room, the silence felt worse than any headline. Stefan finally broke it. The ledger wasn't just financial, he said. It was leverage. Blackmail. And it vanished within a 30-minute window, during which you were moved to my table. Juliette's voice caught. I didn't take it. I believe you, he said, and then smiled again. But this smile was different. Charming. Polished. And completely empty. It wasn't the smile of a man who trusted her. It was the smile of a man who wanted something. Juliette stood abruptly, hands clenched at her sides. You're not defending me, she said. You're using me. He didn't deny it. Didn't rise. Didn't blink. Everyone in this city uses someone, Stefan said quietly. The only question is, are you being used, or are you choosing the terms? That stopped her. Because it wasn't wrong. But it wasn't right either. And suddenly, she didn't know if she was the ballerina or the bait. She walked away from the table, barefoot steps silent against the marble. Her mask, the real one, was still in her suitcase. But in this moment, she didn't need it. She already knew how to perform. Behind her, Stefan refilled his glass of champagne. And when he lifted it to his lips, the smile he wore wasn't for her. It was for whoever was watching. Because someone was always watching. And this game, the real one, had only just begun. Chapter 6: A kiss in the elevator. The door slammed behind her. Juliette didn't care. She marched down the marble corridor of Stefan Mercier's penthouse like it owed her something, heat rising in her cheeks, satin robe flaring around her legs, breath shallow with fury. Her bare feet made no sound, but every step echoed with humiliation. He had invited her to brunch, as if a silver tray and a smear of truffle could make her forget that the entire country thought she was a criminal. As if his charm could outrun the headlines. As if he could control the storm and the eye of it. She jabbed the elevator button with more force than necessary. It lit up like the beginning of an exit. She couldn't get out fast enough. Behind her, silence. Then, Footsteps. Measured. Unhurried. Stefan. The elevator doors opened with a muted chime. Gleaming floors. Brass rails. Soft jazz humming from hidden speakers. She stepped in without looking at him. The doors began to close. A hand slid between them. The doors sighed open again. And Stefan stepped inside. "Are you following me?" she snapped. "It's my elevator." "Of course it is." She hit the button for the ground floor. The doors sealed. Silence. The numbers began to count down. 38. 37. 36. "Juliette," Stefan said calmly. "This is not the time to be impulsive." "You're right," she said. "The right time would have been before the internet decided I'm a seductress thief hybrid with a hidden USB in my bun." He actually smirked. A small, infuriating twist of his lips. "It wasn't in your bun." "That's too obvious." "I'm not joking, Stefan." "Neither am I." The tension thickened, dense, claustrophobic, as if the walls had inched closer. 35. 34. "You could have defended me," she said. "You could have released a statement. Told the press it was nonsense. That would have made you more suspicious. You think silence makes me innocent. I think silence makes you dangerous. And right now, danger is your best disguise." That stopped her. She turned to him, eyes flashing. "You don't get to make me your weapon." "I don't make you anything," he said, voice low. "You're already being used. I'm just trying to make sure you survive it. By keeping me in your penthouse like a well-fed prisoner. By keeping you alive." 32. 31. The floor beneath them hummed gently. The music continued, soft piano notes, ironic in their serenity. But neither of them heard it anymore. Juliette's breath caught. Stefan stepped forward. "Tell me you didn't take it," he said. His voice dropped. Not cold this time. Quiet. Earnest. And suddenly the game was gone. So was the charm. So was the careful calculation in his eyes. "Tell me you didn't steal the ledger." Juliette stared at him. She could feel the truth rising in her throat, a bitter, frightened thing. But her lips didn't part. Something held them shut. Not guilt. Not innocence. But something else. Something older. Something deeper. She didn't answer. 30. 29. The elevator slowed. Paused. Stopped. Juliette looked toward the panel. "Why isn't it moving?" "Because I stopped it." "You what?" "I needed more time." "This isn't an interrogation, Stefan." "No," he said, "it's a moment." She took a step back. Her spine hit the mirrored wall. He didn't touch her. He didn't need to. The space between them vibrated. "I need to know if I'm protecting someone who's lying to me," he said. "Because if I am." "What?" she asked, barely above a whisper. "You'll stop." "I'll fall." The elevator was silent. Still. A pause suspended in gold and steel and tension so thick it was almost unbearable. Then, he moved. Not a lunge. Not a rush. Just a slow, certain step, until they were toe-to-toe. Juliette's breath hitched. And Stefan kissed her. Not tentative. Not sweet. But fierce. Demanding. As if her silence had unlocked something in him. As if her refusal to be understood made him want to own the question itself. She kissed him back, for a heartbeat. For a moment suspended in the space between distrust and inevitability. Then she pulled away, breathless, shaken. Stefan turned to the panel, pressed the button again. The elevator hummed. 28. 27. You didn't answer me, he said. Juliette didn't look at him. You didn't ask the right question. And as the elevator descended, so did everything else. Trust. Control. The fragile illusion of safety. Neither of them would say it aloud yet. But that kiss changed everything. And someone, somewhere, already knew they were one step closer to a very dangerous truth. Chapter 7: The Black Swan Scandal. The email arrived at 6:03 a.m. Subject: Urgent disciplinary review notice. No greeting. No salutation. Just a 6-line message that punched Juliette square in the chest. You are hereby suspended from all company engagements, effective immediately, pending an internal inquiry related to media allegations and security breaches during the Red Mask Gala. Due to the public nature of the situation and the reputational risk involved, we ask that you refrain from making any statements to the press. Further decisions will be communicated in due course. The Executive Board, Les Étoiles de l'Europe. That was it, her name, gone from the tour roster. Her role, scrubbed from the season lineup. Her dressing room, cleared out by someone else. Juliette read the email 3 times. Then a 4th. Her fingers hovered over her phone, ready to type a response, to plead, to demand an explanation. But what would she say? They didn't ask for a response. They didn't want one. Outside her suite, the Monte Carlo skyline was bathed in gold, the sun pouring over domed rooftops, glass balconies, sea-laced breeze curling through the air like perfume. But inside, silence. She sat on the edge of the bed in Stefan's guest suite, still dressed in the silk pajamas the housekeeper had laid out the night before. Her hair was unbrushed. Her ballet bag lay on the floor, zipped shut, untouched, as if its contents belonged to someone else now. Everything she had worked for, bled for, suffered for, suspended. Not because of proof. Not because of truth. But because of narrative. Because when you're a ballet dancer, reputation is part of your resume. And scandal, even in rumor form, is career-ending poison. The morning press made it worse. Juliette Moreau removed from Gala circuit. From spotlight to suspect, the fall of a dancer. Too close to the flame, was she Stefan Mercier's pawn? Photos flooded the articles, some of her dancing mid-pirouette, others of her being escorted out of the gala. But the worst ones were the candid backstage leaks. Images never meant to be seen by the public. There was one of her crying in a dressing room chair. Another of her on the phone, face pale, eyes wide, probably the moment she realized the ledger was missing. And the captions. Cruel. Guilt written in ply. Was it all choreographed? The ballerina behind the €1 billion cover-up. It was Sophie who broke the last thread. Not directly. Not even maliciously. Just a few sentences in a gossip blog, attributed anonymously but clearly hers. She was always secretive. I mean, we didn't even know where she was living half the time. Then she shows up at his table. That wasn't an accident. Nothing with Juliette ever is. Juliette stared at the screen in disbelief. She and Sophie had shared dressing rooms. Secret snacks. Costume tape. Nerves. And now she was just another voice in the chorus of suspicion. The betrayal wasn't loud. It was quiet. Casual. Easy. And that hurt the most. Juliette stood and crossed the room to the floor-to-ceiling windows. Monaco glittered beneath her. The city didn't care. She pressed her hand to the glass. All her life, ballet had been her compass. Her refuge. The one place where rules were clear, where every movement had a purpose, a consequence, a beauty in its discipline. Now, she didn't know who she was without it. And she didn't know who she could trust within it. He entered quietly, as he always did. No knock. No warning. Just presence. Juliette didn't turn to face him. They suspended me, she said, voice flat. I'm off the tour. They won't let me near a stage until this reputation risk dies down. I heard. Of course he had. He probably knew before she did. Don't say you're sorry, she said. I wouldn't believe it. He didn't. Instead, he crossed the room, slowly, as if approaching a sleeping animal he didn't want to startle. Do you want revenge? That made her turn. Excuse me. You've already lost your innocence. You might as well take back your control. Juliette studied him. He wasn't offering sympathy. He was offering strategy. Because in Stefan's world, power mattered more than truth. And in this moment, with her dreams shattered and her name bleeding through the tabloids, Juliette found herself wondering. Maybe that wasn't such a terrible trade. The door closed behind him, and she was alone again. But something had shifted. Her career might be over. But her story wasn't. And whoever was writing the script from the shadows, whoever had stolen her stage and painted her a villain, had just made one fatal mistake. They hadn't destroyed her. They'd set her free. That's the end of this part, but trust me, the next one is even more thrilling. We drop fresh episodes every day, so don't miss out. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned, you won't want to miss what's coming next.
Because every broken heart deserves a comeback. If this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe for more emotional romance every week. Hit like, drop a comment, and ring the bell so you never miss a moment of romance, redemption, and powerful love. And don't keep the drama to yourself, share this story with someone who lives for twists just like you. Thanks for listening, and remember, sometimes the best comeback is becoming unforgettable.